Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel Dental Cafe. So today we are going to discuss about the posterior cranial fossa. So what all structure passes through posterior cranial fossa? What all foramens are present in the posterior cranial fossa? Okay, then let's begin the video. So as we all know, floor of the cranial cavity is divided into three depressions. First one is the anterior cranial fossa, then we have a middle cranial fossa, and the last one is the posterior cranial fossa. Each fossa accommodates a different part of the brain. Anterior and the middle cranial fossa was already discussed. In this video, we will discuss about the posterior cranial fossa. So look at the figure. The part which is highlighted in a green is a posterior cranial fossa, and this is the most posterior aspect of the skull, and it contains brainstem and cerebellum of the brain, or it houses the brainstem and the cerebellum part of the brain. Now it is composed of sphenoid bone, then on the side we have a temporal bone, then we have a parietal bone, and the larger part is made up of occipital bone. So, the foramen in the green is the internal acoustic meatus through which seventh nerve, eighth nerve, and labyrinth artery passes. Up to sixth nerve was already discussed in the anterior and the middle cranial fossa is passes through which foramen. Seventh, eighth, and labyrinth arteries passes through the internal acoustic meatus. Then we have a jugular foramen. As you can see, it is highlighted in the red. Jugular foramen is further divided into three parts. We have an anterior part, we have a middle part, and a posterior part. From the middle part, we have a ninth nerve, that is glossopharyngeal, passes through the jugular foramen middle part. Then we have a 10th nerve, that is vagus, passes through the middle part of the jugular foramen. And the 11th nerve. In 11th nerve, we have two roots. One is spinal and other is the cranial. So, cranial one is passes through the middle part of the jugular foramen. Then we have a foramen magnum. It is the largest of all the foramen. So 11th nerve spinal root passes through the foramen magnum, and the cranial root is passes through the jugular foramen. Then last we have a hypoglossal canal. From hypoglossal canal, last cranial nerve, that is 12th hypoglossal nerve, is passes through the hypoglossal canal. So in the end, I'm just going to summarize the whole video. So from internal acoustic meatus, we have a 7th and the 8th nerve which is passes. From the jugular foramen, we have 9th, 10th and 11th nerve cranial root which is passes. From the foramen magnum, 11th nerve spinal root passes, and from the hypoglossal canal, as the name suggests, hypoglossal nerve passes. In the Neet examination, they can ask from which foramen 10th nerve passes. So your answer is from the jugular foramen 10th nerve is passes. And if you want to give a more precise answer, then from the middle part of the jugular foramen 10th nerve is passes. You can comment on comment section from which part of the posterior cranial fossa, or from which structure of the posterior cranial fossa eighth nerve passes, so that I can know how much are you guys able to understand from this video. I hope this video is helpful for you to understand what is posterior cranial fossa and which structure is passes through which foramen, and which nerve is passes through the which foramen and which part of the posterior cranial fossa. If you guys want more video related to Neet series and a type of question asked in Neet, do comment on comment section.